here with Wolfgang Poker at TCH Dallas. Jello, what are we doing today?
Today's a special one. My sister just joined TCU sorority. They're having an Alzheimer's Awareness Foundation. It's a cause that's very near and dear to my heart. So me and Frankie will be donating a portion of our winnings.
And I'm going to be playing super loose, trying to run up a big stack. That way I can donate a good amount as well. Here for the boys, and let's try to run it up.
Let's go. Hey, 33% of my winnings to the charity. Wish me luck then.
Our buddy Chase, also known as the Blind Man, we see him at the Omaha table as we're walking into TCH. I go up and say hi, convince him to move over to my 1-2 cash table, and the first hand he sits down, he gets in a three-way all-in preflop with 6-9 offsuit, one of the best hands in poker. Unfortunately though, somehow he ends up losing this one. He rebuys right away, and we pick up ace-10 suited under the gun and open it to $10. Middle position calls, hijack calls, small blind calls, and Chase on the big blind makes a call off to a flop 5 ways. It comes 7-jack-6 with 2 spades. I bet $20 here, and only Chase makes a call. Now we're in position, heads up. Turns a 9 of hearts. When he checks to me on this turn, no need to bluff him here. I'm gonna take the free river card. And the river's the ace of diamonds. He checks to me, and I go for some value here, $45. He thinks about it and makes a call. I flip over the bad news, and we scoop in a pot our way, taking some of Chase's Omaha profit.
Let's get started. I've got an ace-queen offsuit under the gun. I bet $10. We see a call from the cutoff, the button, the small blind, and the big blind. We're going 5 ways to a flop, which comes king, queen, jack, 2 spades. The big blind leads for $15. I think if I didn't have the ace of spades, I would just fold, but I got some good backdoors. Imagine if the jack or 10 of spades came on the turn. I make the call, and the cutoff makes the call. Things are not looking good though when the button raises it up to $100, and the big blind doesn't take too long to make the call. I quickly get out of the way, and we lose some equity by making a fold without seeing the run out off to the next hand, which is the same hand, ace-queen offsuit, but this time we're going to play it differently. Under the gun opens to $20. We're in middle position. This is Cody we're talking about. He raises very wide range, so I 3-bet him to $60. The cutoff cold calls, looking to get action against this loose under the gun player, and the under the gun player also makes the call. So we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes 6-7 ace rainbow. Checks to me, I bet $75. The cutoff folds, and Cody makes the call. Going to the turn card, which is the jack of hearts. He checks. I want to get value from all his ace holdings. I bet $175. Cody slides me his cards. Pocket queens are no good. He folded, and we take down a pretty good pot.
One of the most interesting hands I've played in a while right here. We got queen, jack of hearts in the cutoff. Under the gun opens it to $8. He gets 3 callers. Typically, I would actually use this as a 3-bet, but because it's an under the gun open, I decide just to flat. Button, small blind, and the big blind make the call. We're going 8 ways to a flop at a 9-handed table. It comes king, 6 deuce with 2 hearts and a club. We got that flush draw, and under the gun keeps betting for $20. The hijack calls. I decided to just make the call. The button and the small blind calls, so now he has really thinned the field from 8 people now to 5. The turn is the 9 of clubs. There's 2 flush draws out there, and we pick up a gutter. Under the gun bets $45. Still don't see any merit in bluff raising, so I just make the call. And the button ships it on in there, all his chips, $180. Folds around to under the gun. He quickly folds as well. Now I go into the tank. In the pot, there is currently $434. It's $135 more for me to call. We're getting just under 4-1 on a call here, and only have to be right 23% of the time. If we assume my only outs are the 9 hearts and 3 tens that will give me a straight, then we've got 12 outs and are gonna win about 25% of the time. However, this is Texas poker. If there's any chance that this guy could be bluffing here with the worse hand than me, I think I just have to call this one off. And so I do. He asked me to run it twice. I say sure, and the 2 rivers are the 8 of clubs and 6 of spades. We completely brick. I'm about to muck my cards until he flips over 8-7 of hearts. Unfortunately though, he rivered a pair on the first board, and I actually scoop in half this pot with queen high. Very unexpected, but hey, like I said, this is Texas poker. Next hand with 8-10 of hearts on the button, we see 2 limps to me, and I open it to $20, hoping to isolate one of the limpers. The big blind makes a call, and 1 limper makes a call as well. Flop comes 8-5-6 rainbow. We got top pair, and now the limper donks out $50 on this board. I'm not sure what to make of it, but I have a pretty strong hand. I'm not going anywhere. I make the call to assess a turn, and the big blind calls as well. Alarm bells ringing off in the head, and the turn is the king of hearts. Checks to the limper, and he does not hesitate to rip his whole stack in there, $220. I'm pretty comfortable just laying this hand down, and the big blind folds as well. The limper is kind enough to show his hand, and he shows 5-6 for the flop 2 pair. Glad we were able to get away from this one.
Cody left my last tables, so I switched to another one looking for some fresh action. I'm in the hijack with king queen offsuit, the low jack limps. I bump it up to $15, and surprisingly we're going heads up, the blinds fold, and just low jack calls. I'm laughing because this is TCH, we never go heads up to flops. Nice to practice it every once in a while. Flop comes jack 7-2 rainbow. He checks to me, I bet $20. This is a guy who's going to give me a lot of flops after I continuation c-bet, but this time he makes the call. The turn is a 10, we pick up an open-ended straight draw, a card I definitely would continue on often, but here I peg him to have at least one pair after calling the flop on such a dry board, so I actually check my draw, getting a little sneaky. River comes another 10, not a good card. He checks, giving me the option to bluff. Try to take down this pop. I think he's getting a little sneaky. I make a check, not gonna fire this time, and I'm glad I didn't. He flips over pocket jacks for top full house. I'm glad I didn't fire here. Showing you a small pot that not bluffing saved me a lot of money.
We make a questionable play when we look down at queen king offsuit in the cutoff. There are 3 limps to me, and I go $16 here. Probably should making it a little bit bigger considering we're in Texas. The big blind calls, 1 limper calls, and then the hijack limper does something weird and limp jams his whole stack in there for $95 total. He was short stacked. Now, if this was an under the gun or early position limp jam, this is probably just a snap fold. But against this guy, I thought he might try to get creative and make a squeeze play here considering all the dead money out there. And I think he can be doing this with a lot of weaker hands than me or pocket pairs that we're roughly flipping with. I just make the call for $95 and that invites the big blind to come along as well. The limper folds, the flop is 2-6-6 rainbow, the big blind checks and I just check this one back, no need to bluff. Turns a 10 and he checks me. I'm checking this one right on back. The river's an offsuit 7. He checks me again and I'm just gonna check this one back. The big blind shows 9-7 of spades for the rivered pair and the hijack shows ace king offsuit. So we were completely wrong in our analysis and the big blind takes 100 bones from each of us.
We found that action table alright, this is a fun one. I'm in the hijack with pocket 9s. We see an early position limp from Swami D. Low jack makes the limp. I bump it up to $20. We see a call from the small blind, a call from the big blind. We're going to go a lot of ways to a flop. Well, no, early position limp re-raises all in for $120. The low jack limper folds, it's on me, and I decide that this player who's going to have a pretty tight range, I think Swami D might be getting out of line here because there's a lot of dead money in the middle. There's a lot of loose players making calls and he could be thinking that he could take it down right now. I decide to re-rip it all in with pocket 9s, hoping I'm either dominating him or we're coin flipping. The surprising thing is the small blind, another very loose weak player, makes the call here for $114. So this is going to be, after the big blind folds, a 3-way all in. We don't know what anyone has. We're going off to a flop, which comes jack 6-5. Turn is an 8. Swami D's showing ace king offsuit. The river is a 9 of hearts. That is a set. We flip it over and we are good. Turns out though, we were good the entire time. Small blind had ace 8. Swami D, he had ace king offsuit.
Thank you. You owe me what is called protector and a hoodie.
Okay. We're stuck and we decide to add on and we look down at ace jack offsuit in the small blind. There's 2 limps to me and I open it to $20. Only one of the limpers calls and we're off to a flop of queen 4 rainbow. I check to him, allowing him to potentially bluff, and he bets $40. I don't think he's doing this with a queen, so I just make the call, assuming my ace high could be good. Turns an offsuit 10 and he continues betting here. When I check to him, he bets $50. I still do not believe him with anything he's trying to tell me with these bets, so I'm not going anywhere and I make the call, and the river's a king. We drill the straight. I could lead on this card, however, if he does happen to have a queen, he's probably just going to call, and if he has complete air, he might stab at this river, and I'd be able to get the most amount of money in with a check raise instead. So I check to him, and he checks it right on back. I flip over my ace jack, knowing it's good, and he shows me 10-3 suited. Glad we were able to get there, and we scoop in this pot our way.
Back in the hijack and the low jack limps again. Same situation. I bump it up to $15. This time the loose small blind makes the call and the low jack calls. So this time we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace king queen. There's 2 clubs. Checks to me and I bet $30. we see a call from the small blind and a call from the low jack. So now we're going 3 ways again to the turn, which is the 9 of diamonds. Checks to me again. I actually don't feel comfortable betting here. The 9 is not the best turn card for us. I decided to check it and try to get to a showdown at this point. The river is the 6 of spades, and the loose player in the small blind leads out for a tiny amount, $35. The low jack makes the call, and here with the best not 2-pair hand, top pair, best kicker, I make the call here as well. And unfortunately our read was right on the turn as low jack flips over king 9 for 2-pair. Saved ourselves some money checking the turn, lose a little bit on the river.
With ace 3 of hearts in the cutoff, we see an open from middle position of $15. I make the call and the big blind calls as well, and the flop comes ace 5-9 with no hearts. We got top pair, horrible kicker though. Middle position continues the story for $35. I'm not going anywhere and make the call, and the turn's an offsuit 6, and middle position keeps on betting for $70. This was the same guy from my 8-10 hand. He was pretty straightforward. I believe him. I make the fold, and he shows me ace queen offsuit. Luckily, he'd been showing his hands all night, so it's nice to know when you're right and when you're wrong.
We've definitely found a good action table, and we're playing 5-handed now, so there's going to be more spots to get into to find profitable situations. Under the gun, which is actually middle position, makes it $15 to go. The button calls with 4-5 of clubs. I make the call here as well, and the big blind calls. Going off to a board 4 ways, which comes 4, 8, 9. We've got bottom pair. Under the gun, C bets for $16. The button calls, I call, and you know what? The big blind calls as well. Going off to a turn card, let's see a perfect card. How about it? The 4 of spades. Nothing completes except my trips. I start off with a check with plans to either check call a big bet or check raise a small bet. But unfortunately, after the big blind checks and the under the gun player decides to slow down and check, the button is not firing. He checks, and the river comes the 9 of hearts, which is just such a gross card because now I've got the bottom end of the full house. I gotta check now. I can't bet for value on this bad of a card. It checks all the way back to the button, who puts out a tiny bet of $15. I quickly call, everyone else folds, and you know what? We still have the winner. He tried bluffing with pocket 7s, and we take home a good pot. However, it could have been bigger with a better run out.
We've got a big blind special this hand, a 3-7 of spades. There's an early position open to 10, 3 callers, and I decide this is good enough to come along. I call for $8 more, and the flop is a nice one, 7-3-6 with 1 spade. Our boy Harish donk bets out here in the small blind for $25. I make the call, and 1 other player makes a call. The early position aggressor folds though, and the turn's a 9 of hearts. Small blind continues the story here for $40. I don't think I need a raise here, so I just make the call, and the other player folds. Off to a river, heads up in position. It's the ace of hearts. The backdoor heart draw completes, and he bets out here for $46. This small bet into this big pot, I can't fold, and I don't think I need a raise, so I snap call, and he shows me pocket 5s. Kind of a weird spot to bluff here, but we pick up this pot. Luckily, we were able to claw back from being stuck early on in the session. This cause is super important to me, so I really wanted to make a profit so I can make a donation to this fundraiser. I personally have family members that have been affected by Alzheimer's. If you guys are interested in donating as well, we'll have a link in the description box for that.
Just wrapped this session up. Definitely ran good because of the cause we were running for. I was into the game for $400, out for $540. That's about $50 for charity.
I was in for $400, out for $665, so glad we were able to raise a little bit right now.
A big winner.
Dude, I crushed it today, hit a couple sets, some crazy hands. If you want to see how much I won and how much I donated, click the link in the bio. Check out my channel. As always, like these guys' video. They put so much good effort and content out for you guys.
Thanks, boys.
Woo!